What it's like to be an international arms dealer. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that one phone call could be worth millions of dollars and that the product you're selling could change the course of a war. You don't work in an ordinary office. Your meetings happen in private rooms, luxury hotels, corporate buildings, and sometimes far from the public eye. Your clients may be governments, military contractors, intermediaries, or powerful organizations. You rarely appear in the spotlight, but the deals you arrange can have consequences felt by thousands of people. This is the hidden world of the international arms dealer. At first glance, it might look like a business built around weapons, but at the highest levels, the reality is far more complicated. International arms trading operates inside a maze of governments, export regulations, contracts, inspections, banking systems, diplomacy, and international agreements. Legitimate defense companies can spend years trying to win a single major contract. An arms dealer or broker may act as the connection between buyers and sellers, helping negotiate deals involving aircraft, armored vehicles, ammunition, naval equipment, communication systems, and other military technology. The first thing you would learn is that trust is everything. A single mistake can destroy your reputation. Buyers want someone who can deliver exactly what was promised, while suppliers want guarantees that their equipment will reach an approved customer. Governments may require licenses and end-user documentation before certain military products can legally be exported. Behind every major transaction can be lawyers, compliance officers, government officials, engineers, financial institutions, and logistics companies checking whether the deal is actually allowed to move forward. And then comes the money. International defense contracts can involve enormous sums. A single government purchase may be worth millions or even billions of dollars. But that doesn't mean an arms dealer simply receives a giant suitcase of cash. Modern transactions are usually structured through contracts, financial institutions, corporate entities, and documented payment systems. Commissions and brokerage fees can be negotiated as part of the agreement, depending on the legal structure of the transaction and the jurisdictions involved. But money is only one part of the pressure. Politics can change everything overnight. Imagine spending months negotiating a contract only for a government to change its foreign policy. Suddenly, an export license can be delayed, a shipment can be suspended, or an entire agreement can disappear. A diplomatic crisis, a new round of sanctions, or a change in leadership can completely transform the business environment. This is where the international arms dealer becomes less like a traditional salesman and more like a professional navigating a constantly changing geopolitical landscape. They need to understand markets, government policy, military requirements, international regulations, and diplomacy. They need to know who has authority to approve a transaction and which restrictions could stop it. In legitimate operations, compliance isn't a minor detail. It can determine whether the entire business survives. And then comes the logistics nightmare. Moving military equipment across borders isn't like shipping ordinary commercial products. Depending on the item, there can be export permits, customs requirements, inspections, secure transportation, insurance, and documentation. Large equipment may require specialized transport, while sensitive technology can face additional restrictions. Every stage creates another opportunity for delays.
And the most valuable product isn't always something you can see. Military technology can be incredibly important. Sensors, communications equipment, surveillance systems, aircraft components, and software may be subject to strict controls because technological capabilities can provide a strategic advantage. This means an international arms dealer isn't simply selling hardware. In some cases, they are dealing with technology that governments consider matters of national security. But there is another side to this world that makes the profession so controversial: the consequences. Weapons don't exist in isolation. They are used by people, and conflicts involving military equipment can produce devastating human consequences. This creates difficult ethical questions. Where should governments draw the line? What happens when equipment sold for national defense later appears in a conflict? Who should be held responsible when a legal transaction contributes to a humanitarian disaster? These questions follow the arms trade everywhere. Supporters argue that countries have a legitimate right to defend themselves and that responsible defense industries provide equipment necessary for national security. Critics argue that weapons transfers can prolong conflicts, strengthen abusive regimes, or make violence more destructive. The international arms trade exists directly in the middle of this debate. And then there is the shadow market. Not every weapons transaction follows the law. Illegal trafficking can involve hidden intermediaries, forged documentation, smuggling networks, and attempts to evade sanctions or export controls. But this is where the difference between a licensed international arms broker and an illegal weapons trafficker becomes critical. One operates within a legal framework. The other deliberately attempts to bypass it. For someone operating illegally, the risks can be enormous. Investigators may follow financial transactions, shipping records, communications, corporate structures, or customs documentation. International cooperation can make it difficult to disappear behind borders. A person who believes they are protected by layers of intermediaries may eventually discover that investigators have been connecting those layers for years. The most surprising part is that many people involved in legitimate defense contracting may never touch a weapon themselves. Their work can consist almost entirely of emails, contracts, meetings, compliance reviews, engineering specifications, financial documents, and negotiations. The actual equipment may be thousands of miles away. Their influence comes from connecting the right organizations and navigating an extremely complicated system. By the end of a successful transaction, the public may see only a photograph. Officials standing beside newly delivered military equipment, shaking hands at a government ceremony. What the public doesn't see is the enormous network behind that moment. The negotiations, regulations, inspections, lawyers, engineers, diplomats, logistics companies, and financial agreements that made it possible.
So, what is it really like to be an international arms dealer? It isn't simply a life of private jets, secret meetings, and enormous checks. The reality is a world where geopolitics, money, technology, law, and human consequences collide. Every deal carries enormous responsibility, and every mistake can have consequences far beyond the people sitting around the negotiating table. Behind every shipment is a contract, behind every contract is a government decision, and behind every weapon is a story about power, security, and the people who ultimately live with the consequences. If you found this journey into the hidden world of international arms dealing interesting, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who enjoys uncovering the world's most secretive industries, and subscribe for more stories about the hidden systems that shape our world. Thanks for watching.